If I'm not as lazy as I think I am, this will be coming out around the same time as the new trailer for Star Wars Episode 9. Watch that and not even get this video any more views. I'm just wasting my time. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Alright, so Rogue One, a Star Wars story, or as a lot of people call it, Star Wars Rogue One, is the first Disney-made Star Wars prequel film. It takes place like a week before Episode 4. It's about this character, this woman named Jyn Erso, whose father, Galen Erso, worked on the Death Star against his will because the Empire just works that way. And Galen built a failsafe, like, Hamartia. I shouldn't call it a Hamartia unless you guys don't probably know what that means. Built a fatal flaw into the Death Star, and that's what the exhaust port thing was. And now Jyn, along with Captain Cassian Andor and his droid K2SO, have to get a group together and go on this mission to retrieve the plans for the Death Star from the from this like cloud drive on this planet, Scarif, I think it is, and they have to get the transmission of the plans to someone that can do something with them. And along the way, they meet some characters who have names, I promise. But Jyn Erso is played by Felicity Jones, who is a white British woman, which is interesting because it's like, oh, well, we're Disney. We're all about diversity and acceptance and inclusion. So how about we just cast a different white British woman at the lead of every single Star Wars movie we do? It's like, that's kind of, seems to be a little bit against the grain there, but whatever. I'm not Disney. I don't make these sort of decisions. Where this movie shines, though, is that it focuses more on being a war film. Like, it actually focuses on, you know, the casualties and the catastrophic nature and the really ugly side of what a war in the stars would be. There's this character named Saw Gerrera who raised Jyn, then he lost his mind. He lives on this little planet called Jada. I think the planet's called Jada. But once the Death Star is finished, it's like, hey, we need to test this on something. Saw Gerrera, their rebellion, nope, blows the whole thing up just to see if the weapon works in general. Not even as a show of force, but to just make sure it works. They blow up a city full of civilians just because. And I honestly did find that really interesting. Unfortunately, because this movie doesn't really have a whole lot going on, there's not too much to talk about, so I can't stretch this into a 10-minute video like I really wish I could. There's also a pilot from the Empire that defects and joins the rebellion. He's played by Riz Ahmed. He's also in Venom. Yeah. Donnie Yen plays Chirrut Îmwe. And there's also other characters. But yeah, at a certain point they go to this Empire like outpost where Galen is, who's played by Mads Mikkelsen, which is probably the first movie he's done in a long time where they haven't done something to the man's eyes. Leave the man's eyes alone, please. I mean, Death Stranding, Doctor Strange, Casino Royale, just leave his eyes alone. But Galen dies, and that's when Jyn starts to find out that this Stardust thing that she's heard about a couple times before refers to her. She is Stardust. It is Stardust. She is destined to go find this and send it to the rebellion so that they can do something with it, as I mentioned earlier. And you ever played Mass Effect 2? Do you remember the suicide mission at the end of the game? That's what the third act of this movie is. It's a suicide mission. Everybody dies, including Empire director Orson Krennic, played by Ben Mendelsohn. Probably his best performance as a bad guy I've seen in a long time. Haven't seen Captain Marvel. I don't know if he's better in that, but he's definitely better in Rogue One than he was in Robin Hood, and in Ready Player One. Rogue One, Robin Hood, Ready Player One. Rogue One, Robin Hood, Ready Player One. Rogue One, Robin Hood, Ready Darth Vader is also in the movie. He really doesn't need to be, but you know what? He sold tickets. I mean, the movie made $1 billion, which, well, it's a Star Wars movie. Of course it was going to make $1 billion. Yeah, we'll see about that by the time we get around to Solo. It's pretty impressive, honestly. But, I mean, you know, they got James Earl Jones back. I don't know who was in the suit. I hope it was Hayden Christensen. Probably not. But they got him back to voice Darth Vader, and he has this really funny line where he's like, "Try not to choke on your aspirations, director." And it's because he's using the Force to choke him because he's like, Sir, it's my achievement, and you guys are trying to take it from me. C-3PO and R2-D2 also make an impossible cameo in the movie. They cannot be where they were there and where they were at the beginning of episode 4 because they take place like 15 minutes apart. I just don't understand how they got there. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is Admiral Akbar also makes a cameo. It's pretty much, have you seen the original trilogy? Well, here's all this stuff you should recognize. And you know what? I don't hate it because you know what I like? The original trilogy. You know what else I like? Rogue One. Wonder if there's a correlation there. But yeah, as I said, all the characters die, whether they get blown up or shot or whatever. At the end, Grand Moff Tarkin, who's recreated in decent enough CGI, uses the Death Star to blow up the city because he can't have people finding out how the plans got leaked. And it takes out R2 leads Cassian and Jyn, as well as Orson. And it's actually a very impactful, emotional moment. The only thing that really makes any of these deaths feel hollow is that there's so many characters that they were trying to balance out at the same time. And the story is pretty much on rails start to finish. There's not a whole lot of time to really get attached to all the characters. So once they start dying, it's like, okay. Because I think the pilot died first, and I'm just like, everyone's gonna die. Alright, sure, whatever. I mean, I really only care enough about Jyn. Not even Cassian was fleshed out very well. But for some reason, somehow, K2SO's death was just as impactful as Jyn's. And I don't know if it's because he had the worst death or he gave up the most to help the fight, but just watching that, I'm just like, oof. Feel bad for the little robot that could. And then to end the whole thing, Darth Vader does the coolest thing I've ever seen Darth Vader do. The rebels get the plans for the Death Star, and they're trying to get it to a different ship so that episode 4 can take place. But here comes Darth Vader. He's like, boom, 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 boom. It's like straight out of a horror movie. He's just hacking and slashing these dudes like he's in Battlefront 2 or something like that. And it's a horror show, dude. It's horrible to watch, but I loved it so much. Apparently they filmed that all in a day as well, and it's just like, goodness gracious, well done. Unfortunately, though, he does not kill, well, I guess fortunately, he does not kill all the rebels, and the plans do make their way to Princess Leia, who's de-aged, or her face is recreated with CGI, I'm not sure, but she looks really gummy, and I don't quite love it. And, I'm not gonna lie, there's this really cool visual where, the escape hatch in the ship that Vader is on, opens, and he's, standing in space, and, the force of the air getting pulled out of the ship is, flapping his cape really intensely, and he's standing there posted up like he's about to kill some more people. It's the coolest visual in the whole movie, and I really wish that right after that it had gone do. But no, they had a minute and a half more stuff to do, and I'm not going to say it ruined it, but it's just it's very impactful, very interesting, and very dynamic visual that you had there, and you could have ended the movie on it, but you just didn't. But whatever. Gareth Edwards, great job. Fantastic movie. Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Donnie Yen, Alan Tudyk, Ben Mendelsohn, whoever else was in the movie. Riz Ahmed, great job across the board. Loved it. Honestly, really did think that it's the only good Disney Star Wars movie to exist so far. And with all that being said, Star Wars Rogue One, or Rogue One: A Star Wars Story, is absolutely worth buying on Blu-ray because it's just a good movie. And you know what? Somehow I did still manage to get 10 minutes out of you all. But Star Wars: A Rogue One Story, have you seen it? Probably have. What did you think about it? Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below and educate me. And as always, if you want more videos from me, shake my hand. Yeah, shake my hand. And we will meet again soon.